Wait for eye contact. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Village of Royal Palm Beach Special Magistrate hearing for Wednesday, September 8th at 10 a.m. My name is Doug McGibbon. I'm the Special Magistrate. As I like to say, if you have a code enforcement issue, you are in the right place. The first thing we're going to do is swear people in, and we'll probably do this multiple times as strays come in, but everyone gets to tell their right from their left by raising your right hand and saying, I do, and we're done. Does everyone swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Everyone does. Wonderful. Most of our hearings today will be either fine assessment hearings or violation hearings. In those cases, the village will go first. They'll ask you to look at some documents. When you hear your name, go up to that other podium. They'll present their case, you'll present yours, and I get to make a decision. That flips when we get to the fine mitigation hearings. Those people have already been through a violation and a fine assessment hearing, and they are asking for relief, so they get to go first. I think I've covered the big major points, so please, Village, take it away.
Thank you, sir. Amity Barnard, Assistant Village Attorney. We're starting on the agenda on page 1. This is a fine assessment hearing. It's case 21-132, 105 Country Club Way, Michael and Pauline Reed.
All right, sir, your name for the record?
Michael Reed.
Thank you. All right, please proceed, Village of Royal Palm.
We would like to, Dina Foley, Code Officer for the Village. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, violation or verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, permit information. And pictures.
And pictures.
There's some on the screen.
So much. You have a signed green card, you have service. Would you like to show these documents to the respondent?
They have a
Do they have a copy? In that case,
Sir, if you could.
Mr. Reed, do you have any objection to the documents the village is trying to introduce?
No, I mean, I'm assuming these are just saying that obviously we acknowledge that we had the code violation, and the whole reason what we're going through is trying to figure out a way to obviously comply and make, obviously get everything situated. So we've been in the process. Do you want me to just keep speaking or no?
No, you get to stop for a minute. All it really does is say who owns the house. You know, there's no shed permit on the village.
Right, it's the previous order finding violation. It's all the notice documentation. It's the proof of or verification of ownership, and then photographs, which are on the screen.
Okay, yeah, then I don't object.
All right, so the village says you have a shed that's not permitted. I think you've kind of acknowledged that, and you're trying to permit it.
Yeah.
Now you can talk and tell me about the permit.
Okay, great. So yeah, so we do have. Well, actually, it's not a shed. Initially, there was one of those little Home Depot things that we took down. So that's what initially was the flag. But we also have this cabana that we put up at the same time, and we'd love to obviously keep it. And we're in the process of going through the whole permitting process, but obviously it's been delayed with the way this whole construction thing goes, getting surveys and whatnot took several months and whatnot. So we uploaded after we met with you on July 15th. We uploaded the survey as soon as we got it. I think that was around mid-August, something like that. Don't hold me to the exact date, but it's somewhere around there. And then the village did respond back that it's not meeting the guidelines for the setbacks. So we asked, what are our options? And they said to move it. But unfortunately, with a zero lot line, there's really nowhere to move it. So I met with a couple people last week, I think it was, or the week before, one or the other, on figuring out, what and how do we comply to the setbacks. So there's a little bit of confusion when I met with them, and then maybe you can clear this up for me now, is on a zero lot line, when I look at this map, it shows that my property line goes 8 feet in to my neighbor's property. So does the 10-foot setback that's being required take into account that my property line is 8 feet into my neighbor, or is that incorrect? I couldn't get really true clarification on that.
That I'd have to look at plans, but that we can't solve here today without looking at your specific plans. Your property line shouldn't extend into your neighbor's property line. The line is the boundary, and then the setbacks are measured from your property line. But again, to come up with that answer, we'd have to look at your specific survey and your specific plans.
Yeah, so and then when I met with someone in the planning zoning department, that's kind of we were discussing. And so I saw like the plot, at least on what was brought up in front of me, that the yellow line was for sure about 8 feet in to my neighbor's yard.
It should be on your survey.
Well, and that's what
You got your survey, and hopefully it's accurate because surveyors are supposed to actually pull title chains and look at these things before they certify it. So your line should be where your lines are on the survey. The only question is, are you going to apply for a variance because you probably don't have a lot of space in a zero lot line community or not? And I don't know how that works.
It's very fact specific. It also depends if there's easements, whether things can even be where they
Right,
are
and
currently. So
yeah, that's one of the problems with zero lot line communities anywhere. It's like you don't have any dirt.
right.
So you can't put things places that they're not supposed to be. So you probably would need a variance to try to put it anywhere. Am I correct, counsel?
yeah, I mean, at least he's in the right department now, talking about whether it can or cannot be there. But yes, to do it in non-compliance with the code would require a variance, and that's a several-month process.
That's a what? I'm sorry.
A several-month process.
Got it. It's something you probably should have started a couple of months ago to get to a point.
Well, I wasn't aware, obviously. I mean, we thought, and again, so how do I get, because I'd love to get that clarification, because that would change everything. If I knew for sure, is the 10-foot setback based off of that yellow line that I saw on that screen that said that was my property line? Or, because when we look at the survey, I don't know if the surveyor, unfortunately, did it correctly, because the survey is showing it, basically where my neighbor's house ends, if you will, is my property line. But, that yellow line, which is...
The yellow line has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. So that's...
In a zero lot line property, you are abutted up against your neighbor's structure, which means there's probably some sort of covenant that allows you to go over there and paint it because they would technically be trespassing to paint that side of the house. Which never made any sense to me, but it's like Madison Green. Beautiful houses, no lots, crammed into each other, looking in each other's bedrooms. Not the way I want it, but
right.
I don't live there.
Right.
So you need a variance, and it's going to take a while, and the odds of you probably getting one, I don't know. How many neighbors do you see with sheds in your neighborhood? Because they're a lot line community. Probably not a ton.
Right, and the issue we have here is that this is fine assessment stage, so the time to have that discussion would have been at the last hearing. The village would be requesting that the fines start. If he does ultimately go through a variance, he can come back before you once compliance is achieved, if he can get to compliance, and request mitigation. But the village would, just to ensure that the process continues to move forward, would be
the
requesting
village
a
is
fine.
saying after the first hearing, you should have run over to the village and talked to the people to see whether or not you would comply, and talk to whoever else you needed to talk to, whether it be your own personal lawyer or the surveyor or whatever. So you could have applied for the variance, because right now I'm staring down probably at 2 or 3, 4 months for a variance to go through, correct? And they're going, well, if you were going to do that, you needed to start that to prove you were going to go along with it. And there's no guarantee that your variance will ever be granted, given the small size of the lots.
Correct, and there's also another way to comply, which is to remove the structure that's in violation.
Right, and so, you've got what kind of structure is this?
It's like a, it's like a cabana,
A cabana?
But it's, it's well built, into the ground. It's secure, obviously.
Well, see, your two choices are remove the cabana, or leave it there, face the fines, and apply for a variance, which may or may not be granted. I don't get to decide that part. I just get to decide whether or not the village properly informed you of the hearing, and whether or not you've done anything to move yourself along. And it seems like you've kind of slow-walked this a bit because of all the issues regarding getting vendors to provide surveys and things.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, no one made me aware that I would have to apply for a variance at the last hearing. We were still
Wow.
waiting to get the survey. I just got the survey. We uploaded it as soon as we got it, so I would have no way of knowing that.
Yeah, well, it's one of those ignorance of the law is no excuse things.
Okay.
You know, you're
Well, it wasn't
presumed to
intentional.
understand what the law is and what the process is, or you have to hire some guy with a tie in the back of the room to help you out. So, you know, I'm sort of stuck here in a position where something was supposed to happen, it didn't happen, variance hasn't been filed, you know, and the village wants me to do an order finding, you know, assessing a fine, and there's really no reason why I could stop. So, you know, I'm kind of stuck here too.
Right, right. No, I appreciate that. I understand.
So,
I'd be honest with you, this isn't my area of expertise, so I don't know what I'm doing. I'll be honest. I'm at the guidance of everybody around me. So now that I know, where do I go from here? So now that I don't, obviously, not
you
comply.
either face a, what is it, $25 a day fine
Yeah,
versus like
$325
$325
Yes,
in
sir.
continuing. So $25 a day times 3 months is a lot of money. So you get to decide whether or not you want to ride that train along and see whether you get a variance or remove it. Call them and tell you that it has been removed so they can inspect it and verify that it has been done.
Okay, so
Choice is yours. All I'm going to do is grant their relief and sign a fine assessment order, and you get to make up decisions.
And
So-
if you want to keep the shed, your next step is to get back with planning and zoning and speak with Bradford. He's the planning and zoning director about the specific setback area and figure out how to get in that process and get through that process as fast as possible.
right.
Should you be successful, I won't oppose a reduction if you get to that point where you comply and you come back to fine mitigation. I don't believe the village will oppose that. But we do need to see a good faith effort that you try to get through that process as quickly as you can if your desire is to keep the structure in place.
Right.
Practically speaking, you really need to speak to Bradford about whether or not they've granted any variances for that type of thing in that neighborhood.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I want to do is waste everybody's time and money, believe me,
Well,
especially mine.
You know, your time and your money too,
Yeah.
because you know there's a fine mitigation process that people do at the end of this because there's some reason why their fine should be reduced. Yours was I was getting a variance, but you've got to decide whether or not that's worth going through.
So just so I'm clear, so I can, obviously think about all my decisions real quick. So I am being fined today.
You're being fined today because the compliance date was probably 13 days
It was
ago.
it was August 26th, 13 days ago.
That's
So I'm
what you're-
being fined from August 26th till now.
correct, and it will be continuing at $25 a day
Until
Until it
compliance is
stops.
achieved.
either by granting a variance or removing the structure.
Well, yeah, but the variance could take months, so that's going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
And then if I don't get the variance, I still got to pay the fine.
Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, and
Well, here we
if-
are at the fine assessment hearing. I see no reason not to grant the fine request. It's going to be $325 plus continuing. You know, you can stop it one of two ways. You can do it the I removed it way, or you can do the I got a variance way. Removal of certain variances, something you may want to talk to somebody about.
Understood.
Wait till they finish talking. They sometimes do things.
Yeah, get rid of that. Yeah. And what the code enforcement supervisor is saying is that if he desires to go forward with a variance, at the time he has a complete variance application, we could stay the fine running. We'll make a note. They'll make a note internally that he's in process, and
So for a
essentially pause
variance-
it. So when he comes back to fine mitigation, we would that portion of the fine would be wiped away. Right.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
So that means that you need to run and get that variance thing submitted.
Got it.
They'll get a number that doesn't matter at all.
All right. And do you have to be like an attorney to fill these things out, or what? Because I mean, again, this isn't my.
No.
You can do it yourself, but the guy in the back of the room wouldn't mind helping. So $325 is granted plus continuing. There'll be a notation in the file that these may be waived if you submit a completed variance application, which is a very low standard because that gives, you a few months off while it's going through the system.
Okay, so you're saying I have to pay the 325.
Well, you don't have to pay anything if you get your variance application done ASAP.
You won't, yeah, essentially you won't pay anything until you figure out what's happening with your variance. The
Got it.
fine will just start and it'll run until such time you get the complete variance application in and submitted. Then you'll go through the variance process and figure out whether or not you get the variance or not, and then you'll have to come back here.
And if the application
code.
is not accepted, the fine will just go.
Right, but you'll get through the process. You'll get through it. Just,
Okay, so again, sorry, and I don't want to hold people up. So I submit the variance ASAP. I obviously did it as complete as humanly possible. I don't have a $325 fine at that point. I don't have the ticket running until the variance is done. If the
And
variance
if
gets
you-
declined,
Then you rip it out, and you have your $25 a day for however long it takes to rip it out.
got it. So, but not backdated till today or August 26th.
yeah, your fine will start running. Your fine, the order that the special magistrate, should he grant what the village is requesting, you will get an order that is a $325 and continuing fine, continuing per day.
Mm-hmm.
That order will continue to run as you proceed through the variance process. We'll make a note, the village staff will make a note internally, once you have a complete variance application submitted,
Mm-hmm.
when you come back to fine mitigation, that fine amount will be whatever it is based on the order that the magistrate signs today. But we will, when you come back for fine mitigation, reduce that fine amount based on when you got a complete application in, and that's the fine that will be in play at the fine mitigation
Okay.
hearing, not
So
the
it may
entire
be
fine.
$600 or $800 instead of $3,000 or $4,000.
Oh, wow. Okay, gotcha.
Up to you, but have fun. $325 plus continuing is granted.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm all set.
Next case, yes, please. You'll get an order in the mail.
Okay, thank you.
Next case, we're on page 2. It's violation hearings. It's case 21-502, 165 Ponce de Leon Street, Jonica L. and Maxo Esperance.
Code Section 15-4B3, 15-141, 15-71, trees were hat racked. I observed this on 6/22/21. The notice of violation was mailed out 6/24/21 and was signed for on 6/29/21. The notice of hearing was mailed out 7/26/21 and was signed for on 7/29/21. We'd like to enter the following into evidence: Exhibit 1, notice of violation; Exhibit 2, notice of hearing; Exhibit 3, verification of ownership; and Exhibit 4, pictures.
All right, you have a signed green card. You have service.
I already gave it to her. That's the old one.
Hi, ma'am. Your name is?
Jennifer
Sorry.
Esperanza.
And ma'am, those documents you have in front of you, those are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence. This is notification documents, verification of ownership, photographs of the violations. Can you scroll through those and tell me if you have any objection?
What happened is,
No, we're just objecting to documents right now.
okay,
Is there anything there that's wrong, strange,
no,
should not be included? All right, admitted without objection. And then we'll get to them telling you that you weren't supposed to cut the tree limbs like that, and then you can give us your story. All right, so the trees was hat racked. Could you explain what hat racking is to the lady?
It's the way it's trimmed on the top, where they cut the branches to 3/4. There's nothing left of the,
Those branches, I believe, that are 3 inches or larger that are trimmed off, not at the trunk of the tree,
at the,
but
right.
just especially the stuff at the top. Really.
At the, right.
Okay, so that's the problem. They're saying that the tree is trimmed improperly according to the village regulations.
Yes.
So you probably had someone stop by and say, "I'll trim your tree for whatever." Or did you hire someone to do it?
yes, the tree was like, a part of the tree was on top of the roof. We just moved to the house, and then my husband paid somebody to clean the tree, and they clean it like that. But I didn't know nothing about this. I didn't know if we're not supposed to do it, so, and then that's how they sent us that violation. But I have an arborist come look at the tree, say the tree can be restored. but he gave me a letter already. But the reason he didn't put any date on the letter, so I already called him to write me another letter. But now he's out of town because he have a family emergency. I just have to wait when he come back to get me another letter for the tree.
All right, do you have the letter without the date?
I have the letter, but they're supposed to put an estimate date when it's gonna trim the tree again. But they didn't put any date on it. It's just a
That's
date.
fine, I just want to see the letter, just so that we know you've looked at things and you're trying to deal with it. Show it to her. Thank you.
The letter needs to state that the tree will grow back in a healthy state.
Well,
Yeah.
she's already.
Yes, she
we
has,
want,
yes.
We want people in
She
prior
has.
cases to do
Mhm.
something like this.
Yeah.
I know my neighbor got nailed
She's
for it.
come in, she's, you
So
know,
I
she's
think we
been
need to give her
trying.
some more time to get a better letter, if that's the question mark here. Well, yeah, let's give her the opportunity. DM Young Tree Service, I do not know. He says professional arborist since 1970
Right.
on the
Typically
bottom of it. So
they put their license number on there. This is a violation hearing, so we're giving her additional time. But
yeah,
when she
I
comes
mean,
back,
this is
she needs to bring the
the
letter. That,
violation hearing. This is when I have my most discretion to do things. We're going to give her some more time to get a good arborist letter in, so she keeps herself out of trouble.
right. We're asking for compliance by October 28th or the November 10th fine assessment hearing, or $25 a day fine.
28, 11 what?
11/10.
11/10/25. All right, so she's already been in contact with you, Dina?
Yes, she has.
You need to continue to contact Dina to make sure that you get something to them that makes it acceptable before the October 28th date, whether it's this guy putting his arborist number on or somebody with an arborist number who can send a letter in.
So after October 28th, they're gonna start fining, right?
No, if you get it all together and the arborist says the tree will survive under this state, it'll probably be good, but that just means you're
Right.
going to have to learn how to trim the tree better in the future. You know, maybe take it off at the trunk where the limbs are leaning over the house and let the rest of the canopy.
And don't forget, if you need any help with what Linda Walker went over with you or myself, if I'm not in, you can call Linda Walker. So if you need any help with that letter,
Linda in the back right there.
just
Okay.
give us a call.
But no, you've done what you need to do. Normally I tell people, well, actually I don't tell people. They tell people that, you know, we either need, you're either going to get fined or you're going to get us a letter from an arborist because it happened to my next door neighbor. And he did. And obviously it works because the stupid trees are still there. So, you know, that's what you're going to do. You may need a different arborist. You may need the guy to put his number on there. But as long as you get it done by October 28th, you may not need to show up at the 11/10 hearing.
All right.
Okay? Thank you. You'll get an order
Thank
in the
you.
mail. All right. We have another one, and then we have two strays that have wandered in. Next hearing is?
At the bottom of page 3, it's case 21-0417, 570 Christina Drive, PP Park Air Property Owner LLC.
All right. Good morning, sir. Your appearance for the record, please.
Michael Posner for the property owner,
P-O-S-S?
NER.
P-O-S-N-E-R?
Correct.
All right. Here.
Thank you.
Margaret Hancock, Code Enforcement Officer for the Village of Royal Palm. Code Section 622-108.4, signs without a permit. I observed this violation on 5/27/21, sent out notice of violation on 5/27/21, and I spoke with the property manager, Nadine. Sent out notice of hearing 7/29/21, and I got the green card back, not dated. I'd like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, pictures. Exhibit 5, AS400 permit information.
Okay. Mr. Posner, do you have any objection to these documents?
No objection.
All right. What I'm focusing on is the last page, which is the application inquiry. Right now, does that,
I'm sorry?
the last page, the AS400 printout, I guess?
So we have applied for a permit.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking about first.
They've asked us to go before the Architectural Review Committee in October.
Gotcha.
We'd like to propose giving us till January 10th to get the sign approved and once we get the architectural review approval, then we'll go back to permitting and get the sign final approved, and then we'll be approved and we'll be done.
All right. What's the village think about that plan?
I guess I just question if you're going to get AAR approval in October, why do you need till January?
Only because they may come back and say, we don't like your design, resubmit. And look, we want to get this approved as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to account for any possibilities. And they can be prickly if they don't like your color or your plan. And they only meet once a month. So if they don't like our plan in October, we have to come back. We're now in November, then we have Thanksgiving and Christmas.
How about, the village will agree to do a status/fine in December?
Okay.
Establish a compliance date of December 7th, and then you come back to the December 8th status/fine assessment hearing. I think you're going to get through the process quicker than you think.
That's what I'm hoping. You never know. Every town's different. So.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine on that timeline, but
All
we'll
right,
do it
so
as
the 12/7,
status/fine.
is that the hearing date or the compliance date?
12/7 is the compliance date. 12/8 is the hearing date.
Oh, give them, okay, 25?
50.
$50 a day.
Okay.
Brutal.
You professional people, you get a
I'm a
little,
magistrate too. I know.
so, yeah, it's all part of the fun. All right.
So we like to say up to 50. So we give the next hearing date the option.
Yeah, I have other municipalities where I'm the up to 250 guy.
Well, that's the city of West Palm Beach. Everyone's up to 250.
No, it's not just them, believe me.
No, I know.
So, all right. So status fine assessment hearing is scheduled for December 7th with an appearance at the December 8th meeting. If you are not approved, to tell us of the status of the architectural review and/or other permitting and other requirements of the village, so we can see whether to bounce it or fine them. Correct?
Yes, just so the record is clear, comply by December 7th, or the fine assessment status/fine at December 8th.
Yeah.
So assuming we get approved at the October architectural review hearing, then the rest
And then
will be
you
a piece of
get your
cake.
permit issued.
Yeah. But if
because
we run into trouble with them, I'll call you and let you know what's going on.
Okay.
Go from there.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a
If
wonderful
you
day.
give your card to Ms. Bernard, so
We've
they
got
can-
it.
So they
He
can
reached
get
out
you a
before.
copy of the order as well.
Yep, he reached out before the hearing.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a
Have
good
a
day.
good day. All right, all these people are unsworn, so I think we get to swear them in and figure out who they are.
I'm sorry?
Newbies in the back, got to swear everybody in.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, everyone who's in the room, please raise your right hand. Say, I do when we're done. Does everyone swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? They all do. Good. Swearing number 2 done. Probably end up doing it again sometime.
And we're moving all the way to page 4. These are fine mitigation hearings. First one is 17-1276, 119 Belmont Drive. Charles and Melanie Greismer.
Morning.
Good morning. Your appearance for the record, sir.
My name is Charles Stacker. I'm counsel for the owner, Deutsche Bank.
All right, you're going to spell your last name, sir.
Sure, it's Stacker, S-T-O-E-C-K-E-R.
Stoeckер. Because they're going to ask me later. They love it when I do this, believe me. All right, so you represent Deutsche?
Yes, I do.
All right, and we're doing the he goes first anyway part. Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, fine mitigation request. Exhibit 2, order assessing fine. Exhibit 3, verification ownership. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Okay, so seeing that this is a 17 fine, 2017, how much is it?
The fine amount is $32,725.
Okay. All right, so why should the fine be reduced?
Yeah, this property was a mess. In 2017, my client didn't own it. It had a mortgage on the property. It was owned by an individual. And there was a number of things that fell out of compliance. There was this dock. The yard was overgrown. The house, the door was installed incorrectly in the house without a permit. The roof had issues. My client took title to the property following a contested foreclosure action on January 8th, 2019. So we didn't get title to this property until well after these fines were imposed and began to accrue on what we're here for today. Since we've gotten title to this property, I've been working diligently to make sure everything is brought into compliance. We fixed the door, we fixed the vegetation overgrowth, the roof has been replaced. We've been dealing with the HOA as well. And also the dock has been, I believe, permitted. It's been brought into compliance as soon as we were made aware of this outstanding issue. I closed the previous violations and then I was made aware of this one. So I think there's 3 total different violations at one point when we got title of this, and this was the last one, and it's been resolved.
Okay.
So it's been no fault of our own that it fell out of compliance, but we've been working hard to make sure that everything is cleaned up and appropriately brought into compliance.
All right, did you have a proposed fine amount you were requesting it be reduced to?
At this point, I would ask for $2,500.
All right, and what is the village's position with regards to this request? They're mumbling. Give a minute.
It's no longer there.
What was it? The shed?
Pardon?
What was it?
The dock.
Oh,
The dock was not permitted. It was removed.
It was removed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no
Oh,
longer
it's
there,
Sorry about that.
which is fine as well.
Yeah, just keeping the record straight.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes, the village is not opposing reduction. We would be amenable to reduction to the amount of $6,965.83 payable by December 8th, 2021.
All right, they're saying 6,900 plus or minus. I always love the pennies they go down to. And considering that you did have a couple of years of ownership of this,
Yeah.
I think that that's not horrible. So 6,900 by when?
December 8th, 2021.
By 12/8.
Yes, sir.
So 6,900 by 12/8. 7/14. 75%-ish.
Yeah, one thing, and I don't know what it's worth, but we weren't made aware of the dock issue until a few months ago, and I'm not sure where the correspondences were being sent. They might have been being sent to Deutsche Bank. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, well, they have to do it according to state law to the address on the tax collector's roll.
yeah,
Unfortunately, sometimes things are too big when they get to the mailroom.
understood.
So I do not think that they would have the same importance that a local person getting the mail would have, but that's a task for the Florida legislature, not the Royal Palm Beach Code Enforcement Board. All right, 6,900 by 12/8 granted.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is 19-0631, 1606 Lakeview Drive, Hashim and Pamela T. Mehmed.
Like to enter those following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, fine mitigation request. Exhibit 2, order assessing fine. Exhibit 3, verification ownership. Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
Okay. Please state your name for the record, sir.
Ali Mehmed. I'm here on behalf of my father, Hashim Mehmed.
How do you spell your name, sir?
First name A-L-I,
Okay,
last
thank you.
name.
Thank you, sir.
John, basically. So, son. All right, so there was a disabled, unregistered vehicle case here, and I assume the vehicle. Well, tell me about it.
So what happened was recently we had a rental property in West Palm Beach that we were selling. And as part of the closing process, I guess they did a search on all of our other properties owned, and they found out that there was a code violation.
Oh, they spread.
Yeah.
Yes.
So me and my family were completely unaware of this code violation with the city of Royal Palm Beach. A couple years ago, our tenant, I guess, had an unregistered vehicle outside of the property, in which the HOA informed us that you can't have that. So we immediately let him know you got to get rid of the car, and he got rid of it. So as far as we were concerned, this issue was resolved, 2 years ago when this happened. When I found out through the title company that the city of Royal Palm Beach had a code violation, I came to the office here, and they gave me the certified letter that shows the signature of who received it. This isn't a signature of anybody of my family. I guess it must have been sent to the rental property that we have, because this isn't a house that we live in. This is just a rental property
As
of
you
ours.
heard from the other speech, it goes to the address on the tax
Yeah.
collector's roll.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I understand. I guess he just got it and never gave it to us. But as far as we are concerned, we found out through the HOA and we resolved this matter, within a week or two. So,
yeah, it would have been nice to have some proof that you resolved it in a week or two, like a picture, but you
Yeah,
wouldn't know you needed that.
Well,
I
and
didn't
you
know at
didn't.
all, because in the past, I get a letter from the homeowners association, whether it's you have to paint something or remove weeds or something, and they tell you fix this in 2 weeks, and then as long as we do it, we don't get another letter. I considered it resolved. If I knew something from the city that said you were accruing fines, there's no
Like-
way I would let this go for years.
Like Special Magistrate said, we mail to the address on the tax, and that is the apartment.
I understand that.
So you need to get that changed. If
Yeah,
you're
you need to put your address.
Yeah, is there a way to with the city to make it known?
no, you have to
Do it
go to
through the
the
property
tax
appraiser.
collector's office
The
and
tax
ask
collector,
for an
yeah.
address
I
change. They
understand.
don't care as long as they get their taxes.
Right. Yeah, I understand.
So they'll change the address. That way you'll at least get notices. All right, given the fact that the respondent or the requestor has stated that he cured this a couple of years ago, but didn't bother to document it with Royal Palm because he didn't know, what is your position? Well, what do you think the fine should be? 0?
I mean,
They have costs, so it's never going to be 0. But what is the village's position?
We again would not oppose reduction. Our number is $4,118.55, payable by 12/8.
You want 4,000? What's the fine amount?
18,500. It went on for 2 years. It was complied on August 11th of 2021 through the village.
Yeah, it was complied on August 21 from the village. I understand that, but he's testifying that it was done years earlier.
yeah, I mean the HOA would not have allowed this to go on for that long.
And I guess there's just no car there when you went to look.
I didn't do the reinspection. Linda did. That was last month when I was out.
Yeah. All right. All right, I find your story credible, but there's still problems with the releasing and other things. I'm going to reduce it to 1,000 by 12/8.
I appreciate it.
That way you can get your closing done, but you do need to change some things around so you
Yeah.
get the notices and this
100%.
doesn't go.
For sure.
I'm relying on your homeowners association to be really picky and that, you can come back with letters from them saying that it wasn't done. It was a problem. So, okay. 1,000 by 12/8.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is 20-310-10807 Dalmonte Way, Irving J. and Maria L. Estevez.
Thank you.
We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, fine mitigation request. Exhibit 2, order assessing fine. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 4, affidavit of compliance.
The good news is this is a 21 fine, I guess.
Your name for the record, sir?
Oh, Irving Estevez?
Irving Estevez?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so 2020 case number, the order was signed in January of 2021. So what's the fine amount
The
here?
fine amount is $5,950.
All right, Mr. Estevez, why should the fine be reduced?
Right. I was in compliance around April when the permits were approved. And I didn't know that I had to call the code enforcement office to have that, to inform them that it's been approved. The permit, actually was done everything around.
All right, so he's saying that it was his permits, I guess, for the shed and the pavers
And
were
the,
approved by the village in April?
April.
We don't have it complied until July 15th, 2021.
Yeah, but if you have information in your system that shows it was complied earlier, that should be good for him, one would think.
Right, but it's his obligation. The burden is not on the village to check compliance on all of these things. So when we checked it, it was July. I don't think we have the current paper. Can you get to IS 400 in your system, Hunter?
And also it was delayed because the first contractor that was working on my driveway, then it like disappeared, so I had to switch contractors.
Right, that's not a village
through
problem
the
really,
COVID.
but I'm
And
trying
also-
to cut your fine down to the approval dates, if we can find them.
Huh?
That would probably cut it in half. So can we get an AS 400 check on this? It should be by the address, shouldn't it?
Do you have a permit number, sir, with you?
I have one, but it's an open one for the backyard for the.
It was for a shed and pavers.
No, the driveway is cement. The permit where the pavers were, I replaced them with the driveway, cement driveway. So there's a permit for a driveway and the permit for the tool shed.
Okay, so if you would have had both of them applied for, I would have been able to cut your fine down a lot more, but you didn't apply until July, so, and then it was approved.
He did apply in April. It wasn't approved until the 1st.
Of July or whatever. Yeah, because he didn't apply until July for the shed, and then that was approved. I just need the yes or no on the approved part.
Until July.
Okay, so the shed was applied for in April, but there was an issue probably because it wasn't approved until July. Okay, so that's cutting. All right, so what is the fine amount? 5,950. What is the village's position with regards to it?
I'd like to hear what his number is. We're not opposing a reduction.
All right, what do you propose? Because you were late on the shed, so you do have some fine going. What number do you propose for the reduction?
10% of the amount.
That's only $595. I don't think they'll go for that. So
We're
What-
seeking, we'd be willing to reduce it to $1,585.04 payable by 12/8.
all right, so they're willing to reduce it 75% to $1,500 because you didn't apply for the shed and get it approved until July. That's the problem. The favors are probably the easier thing. So I'm going to reduce it to 1,500 by 12/8.
But if you look through the system, I mean, I was trying to apply. It was like I was getting.
You're getting kickback and kickback, but
Kickbacks.
that's not their problem. It's your issues with the application.
Right.
So you can't blame them for your getting the
No, I
application
know.
wrong. I've reduced it by 75%
Okay.
because you didn't apply and get it run through in a timely manner. That's the problem. So 1,500 by 12/8 is my ruling on this case.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right, we have a new few. All right, we have new people in the room, so you get to get sworn at. Please raise your right hand. Say, I do when we're done. Does everyone swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Everyone does. Excellent. Okay, let them find your stuff.
Did
All
you
right,
swear
next
everybody
case.
in?
What?
You swore everybody in?
I swear
Thank you,
everyone in.
We're moving back to page 2 on the agenda. This is a fine assessment hearing. It's in the middle of the page, last fine assessment hearing. It's case 21-334, 1271 North State Road 7, National Retail Properties, LP.
All right, sir, please identify yourself for the record.
Shane Chernoff on behalf of the respondent.
All right, I got the Shane part.
Chernoff. It's Chernoff, as in Frank, F as in Frank.
Cheroff.
NOF as in Frank, F as in Frank.
Okay. And I assume because you're representing them, you're an ESC.
Yes, this is on behalf of the respondent. Our firm was, I'm from Wickersmith. Our firm was retained on behalf of the respondent. And
Okay.
Okay, I would like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3, pictures.
Okay. Signed green card equals service. Violation, signed by me in July.
And, sir, those documents that you have that the code enforcement supervisor just handed you, those are the exhibits that the village would like to enter into evidence.
thank you. We'd actually like to submit, and I apologize that we didn't submit this ahead of time or provide copies to you, but this is the affidavit of our area manager, John Arduro, in response. And it has to do mainly with the inspection that I believe was scheduled to take place on August 26th. And I don't know, I guess you'd like to take a look at that before you submit that to the magistrate. But mainly it's, our involvement only had come after. I guess there was some non-compliance from February headed into July. There was an inspection that was to be scheduled at the property on August 26th. Mr. Andurl was there throughout the length of the inspection, throughout the day, from about, I think, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the code enforcement officer, I believe it was supposed to be Ms. Walker, or any representative from the village, failed to appear for said inspection. And at this point, everything that was assessed to be out of compliance, Ruby Tuesday had worked diligently to cure, and the only thing that they weren't sure of is whether the trees and shrubs, whether the work that the landscaper performed on the property was brought back into compliance in accordance with the plans. At this point, they were not sure and were relying on the results of the inspection to determine whether or not the shrubs and trees had been brought back into compliance. And because of the no-show, our position is that Ruby Tuesday, the respondent, should be granted a 60-day extension, and inspection should be scheduled, now at some point within the next 14 days for another fine assessment hearing to take place within the next 60.
So
Ruby
they
Tuesday,
were,
Ruby Tuesday was incapable of calling the code enforcement officer to see what
Well,
the
well,
problem was?
there's a misunderstanding about the time frame. That's not a compliance date. That was not an inspection date. Rather, that was a compliance date of August 26th. Not that the village would go out to inspect the property.
Okay, and
They
and
And-
that
yeah.
and I was out there yesterday, and I have communicated this, that if your landscaper needs to walk the site with the landscape plan that I have provided and mark what is missing. So we require palms to be planted in grouping of 3. If you look in this photo that's up here.
Who?
Palm.
Yep. We can count. Okay.
Oh, okay. I understand. I'm sorry. I was looking at the screen up top. I apologize. I see it now.
Okay. If you look, this only has 2 palms. Now, I'm just pointing out a few things. Your landscaper should be able to walk the site and mark what is missing and replace it.
So I'm not sure if you're
Over here, this is the north side of the building. You're missing hedges all in here. Can you see the pointer on your screen?
Yes.
Okay.
If you'll just
So-
allow me, I need to just make a note and take some photos in case I do need to relay this back to my client.
Yeah, they really need to take their landscape plan and mark it up.
And were these photos taken? You said yesterday.
9/7.
Okay.
So none of the work that was originally discussed is even done. This is a new thing that's going to happen. This whole fencing that screens your equipment it's in disrepair. So that's new and upcoming here. Here you have hedges missing in here. These are just obvious.
yeah.
You have
so-
hedges missing here. All of this is supposed to have hedges. It's not there.
On the
These-
curb next to the parking space.
I'm sorry?
On the curb next to the.
There's supposed
Adjacent
to
to the
be
parking
hedging
space.
in here. And this right here is not a parking spot. You guys got permission to put this here, this concrete. And that's why you got the modified landscape plan that was sent. And this is all supposed to have low shrubs here. The concrete is only there because the landscape would not live right there. So they allowed them to, where's the mouse now? Put concrete on either side of the building, but this is supposed to have low shrubs in it. And our landscape plan is very detailed and tells you what shrub you're supposed to have in, how many, so forth and so on. So I don't understand why the landscaper's not able to walk the property, look at the plants, see what's there and what's not there, and count.
So you do a lot of development work.
Here,
I don't, frankly.
Okay,
This
we're
is
going to
kind of a
stop Ms. Walker for a second. So when you go in for your site plan approval, one of the vendors that gets to get money out of the job is the landscape architect. And one of the submissions you have, along with your elevations and your mechanical and your electrical and everything else, is a landscaping plan. And that landscaping plan is approved by the village, and it sets the standard for what's supposed to be on the site. And everything that's on that plan, which is detailed down to the level of the type of shrubs, the name of the shrubs, the height of the shrubs, their placement and everything else is on that plan. And that's approved by the village council. Is that the council that does site plan approvals?
Both the Planning and Zoning Commission and the council, yes, sir.
So both the Planning and Zoning Commission approved this plan, and the council approved this plan with the understanding that Ruby Tuesday would submit the plan, do what it says to get their occupational or
Certificate of occupancy.
their certificate of occupancy. So at one time, this site had everything it was supposed to have that the landscape architect drew, and they're cute little circles and little hedgy looking things and little tree canopy things that they do. And there's usually a legend on the plan that says how many of what and how long of what. And your guy has managed to chop most of this stuff down, hasn't replaced it, and doesn't want to deal with it. So that's the problem. Obviously, there's a problem when there's only 2 out of the 3 palms. Some palm went away. There's a minimum size palm that's on the landscaping plan that they needed to replace it with. They never did.
And that's
And there are hedges that are missing, that are mangled, and the landscaping guys probably go, you know, it's so much easier just to cut the grass. We'll just pull out some of these. We'll just let them die.
And I've asked to know who the landscaper was. I was in communication with the main attorney from your firm, and I can't remember his name offhand.
I believe you had been in communication with Will McManus, who's corporate counsel.
Yep.
So we were hired as
So,
obviously outside counsel.
These trees are still not healthy. This is a dead tree. I specifically told Will about this. It's not on the landscape plan, but you can't have dead vegetation on your property.
Okay.
And that just needs to be removed. These palms also are unhealthy. This has been actually pecked by like a woodpecker, and they've hurricane cut these trees. It's lacking nutrients. These hedges are nicely shaped into nice little round topiaries, but that's not what's supposed to be there. It's supposed to be a full hedge.
Oh, yeah,
Or
the
full island full of
landscaping
shrubs.
vendor is not following the plan, and once
So-
the client was informed about it, the client has not made arrangements to follow the plan and inspect the property to make sure the plan is being followed.
Understood.
And unless you want to go in for a modification, and there's a guy who has palm trees in his yard in Royal Palm Beach, those look pretty bad.
Okay.
They're lacking fertilizer and other things, because I can tell that just not a healthy looking canopy for a palm that size.
And as for the compliance date, we never inspect on the compliance date because you're actually able to come into compliance if you complied by 10 o'clock that night. That is your date to comply. So
So
it
they can come by the next day. if
doesn't
you
make
call
any
them.
point to inspect on that day because you still have time to comply.
Understood. I just, I
Oh.
what the position
Oh.
that was. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Your Honor.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that the position that was expressed to me by my client was essentially that there seemed to be a lack of guidance on how to submit it. I wasn't aware that the
No, they want me to come out there and physically mark everything for the landscaper.
And that's not her job.
And I've told
Right.
them I'm not doing that, that their landscaper needs to have the ability to do that.
Well, what they need to do is pull in a landscape architect to look at the plan and say, this is where it's deficient, you need to replace these things. It's not the village's job to say, well, you need to plant another tree, because you know you need to plant another tree, just do it. And they haven't done it, and they're still not doing it, and it's still in violation. And
Understood.
so, this is one of those lovely ones where it's like, how much? $6.50 and continuing?
Yeah,
What's
it's been out of compliance for 13 days at $50 a day, so $6.50 and continuing.
See, I can even guess, because normally it's out 13 days at $25. That's $3.25. That's most of the residentials. Some of the commercials are $50. Some are $100. Some are $2.50. So at $50 a day, it's $6.50 plus continuing. And they have not gone ahead and done what they need to do, which one would think a sophisticated multi-state operation would be able to do, or at least understand the fact that there is a landscaping plan and the village is not happy that the landscaping plan is no longer being followed.
Acknowledged. And I,
$6.50 plus continuing is going to be granted. If because as we stand here now, there are obvious deficiencies still left on the photographs I have from yesterday. And there is no real plan of compliance by your client. They haven't even done the minimum of contacting a landscape architect or having their landscaper go through the existing modified plan and verifying what should or shouldn't be there.
Understood. And you said there was it a 13-day grace period from?
No, that 13 days was the date of compliance that was supposed to happen before the hearing. You can't have a compliance date after the hearing. It makes no sense. So they need to be found in violation. The violation date was 13 days ago.
Yeah, your previous order required compliance by August 26th, so the 13 days is August 27th to today because the violation's been in effect since August 27th.
Okay.
So that's where your 13 days runs. So you're going to go run back and tell your client, hold a landscaping plan, get a landscape architect out there and fix it.
And
Now,
just
it's your
understand,
responsibility, once you get this order, to contact the village once the repairs have been made so you can stop the fine. You want an affidavit of compliance from the village, which will stop the fine because that gives a definitive date the village inspected. But as of today, the property is still in violation and the fine has been assessed.
Understood. Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Next case, please.
it's same page, it's a violation hearing, it's case 21-379, 882 Hibiscus Drive, Nickinson, Cassis, and Jean Northalis.
Okay.
Code section 622108.4, work done without a permit.
That's one.
I observed this on 5/18/21. The notice of violation was mailed out 5/18/21 and was posted. The notice of hearing was mailed out 7/21/21 and was also posted. We would like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, notice of hearing and affidavit of service. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 4, pictures.
Okay. Look at a couple more things here. You have service via posting, so you have service.
Can you state your names for the record, please?
My name is Nickinson Cassis.
And ma'am, your name?
My name is Shadley Eve. I'm its wife.
Can you spell your first and last name?
Me?
Yes, ma'am.
CHADLIE. The last name is Eve. EVEQUE.
Thank you.
Never would have gotten that. Okay.
And those documents you have before you, sir, those are the village's exhibits that we'd like to enter into evidence. Do you have any objection to those documents? They're the ones that the code enforcement supervisor gave you. Do you have any objection to those?
Okay.
All right.
Any objections, sir?
No, that's fine. Let's see.
Okay. Thank you,
Okay,
sir.
they're just documents showing the ownership of the property, how you were served, and then the photographs from July and September. All right. Admitted without objection. Problem here is it doesn't look like there's work done with a permit. It's like no work done.
I didn't.
It's kind of like there's not work done as opposed to
Okay.
he
Well,
fixed it all up pretty and he
when
didn't
I
get
first-
a permit for it.
Yeah, when I first wrote it, they were taking everything off the front of the house there, and I'm not quite sure what they did underneath. They were removing all of it. I don't know if it was all rotted or, so that's why it was written work done without a permit, because at that point, that's where they were taking everything off.
Right, and it's still in
And
the off
it's-
position, I take it, because of the
Yes.
photographs from yesterday.
Yes.
All right, is this your home?
Yes.
So it's a homestead property, I hope, or will be? Because you need to apply for a permit.
Yeah, yes. We did. So we are another contractor. So I got the registration number, but they haven't received yet. So I can give you the number. You can look.
All right, so he's saying they've hired a contractor and they may have opened up an application, but I don't know that they have actually gotten a permit. All right, so a BLD number just means that they've started an application.
But the bigger problem is the second thing she said, which is your contractor is not registered with the Village of Royal Palm Beach. The contractor needs to get registered. They can't do work until they're registered.
No, it did. Yeah, it did already.
Okay, so he may have registered. We'll have to look that up. It's only a simple couple bucks, isn't it? Or how much is your outside person registration?
I don't remember off the top of my head that amount.
Okay, it shouldn't be much. Okay, he just has to apply. All right, so you got to get your contractor approved from the village. It may or may not be a fee. Sometimes it's $2, sometimes it's no dollars, sometimes it's $100, whatever it is.
That's it? Okay.
So okay, so he needs to get his. Okay, we're in the.
So you can look in for his name. If he lied to us again.
Hold, stop, turn around. He's approaching you, so he probably wants to see something.
No, yeah.
He applied for it, they sent it back. So basically what he did was he came into the office online, right? So if he had come in person and said, look, I want to pull this permit, they would have said, no, you have to go get registered, and they would have handed him back his paperwork. He hasn't gotten registered yet, and he's trying to pull a structural permit. Can I see his business card?
It's just a business card. He's put the number on the back of.
Oh, well, what's his name? That's what she just looked up
Give
was
him the
your,
Well, Edward.
yeah.
Edwin.
She looked up your business. That's the business card she looked up.
Yeah, that's.
What's the name of his company?
No, yeah, his name is Edward. I know it's Edward, but
They can't look it up until you have his name.
just give me the project number and the number.
Yeah. But does it have a contractor on the application? Because he may not be registered, but
Yeah, Joseph and Edward. Yeah, something like that. I mean, can I call him right now, please? Can do that?
Well, and I'm not sure that whether the contractor, that process can be sorted out. The real issue is that he needs to get a permit for the work that he's doing. What
Yeah.
contractor he selects, that's not what he's here before today.
that's fine.
Um,
We'll give him some time because this is a homeowner situation.
Yeah, we're asking for compliance by October 28th, or the 11/10 fine assessment hearing, or $25 a day fine.
All right, so what is this? This is 9/8, so that gives them 50 days approximately,
Month and a half, yeah.
month and a half,
Plenty of time to get a permit.
plenty of time to get the permit. All right, you need to get whoever's helping you do
Yes.
this registered with the village and get the permit applied for as quickly
Permit
as
needs to be issued. So just understand, just because you submit all the paperwork to the village doesn't mean you're in compliance. You need to actually have an issued building permit.
I'm trying to get to that point.
Yes, yes.
They have to submit everything and it has to be approved, and you have to get an issued permit.
Okay.
And if you get all of that done by October 28th, let's make this a status fine assessment. That way I can go the other way if he's 80% or whatever through the process. That way I have an out. But if you get this all done by the 28th of October and get your permit issued and talk to the village code enforcement, you're good, right?
Okay.
Correct. Once the permit's issued, yep.
Once the permit's issued, and that way, the good thing about having a permit is it's going to cost some money, but you'll have people inspecting the work.
Okay.
So they'll be able to tell if your contractor did a good job or a bad job, and that's actually going to help you. Okay?
Thank you.
But you need to have this done by October in November 10th in the evening,
Yes, in the evening,
in the
5:30.
evening, or face a $25 a day fine. If you get the permit issued,
Okay.
you're good.
Okay.
Once you get it issued, call, who are we calling, Dina?
Dina? Yeah, I know her number.
Call Dina and let her know. She'll be able to look it up on the village computer, and then you'll ask her to email you to confirm you don't have to appear.
Okay.
Okay, that way you'll have proof that you contacted her and she said it was okay.
Okay.
Okay? Does that sound like a good plan?
Yeah, the code enforcement officers usually don't tell the mother not to appear, but what he needs is the affidavit of compliance. Once he has that, that is his
Well,
proof.
then, yeah, but I'm just doing layman's terms. He doesn't understand what an affidavit of compliance is. He'll know what I've been excused by the code enforcement officer in writing. So we're just going to get that part for him. So you'll ask her to verify that you're excused from the hearing if you're done.
Okay.
If you're not done, you're going to show back up on the 10th of November, and you're going to tell me why you're not done or why you're almost done.
Okay.
Okay, and that way you can get things fixed and inspected.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And I'll sign that order.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
you.
Thank you.
Good?
Done.
Okay, thank you.
Take care. It was painless.
All right.
And good luck with your house.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's for Doug.
This is an extra.
That's what I'm saying.
I
don't
have
understand
those.
what- Okay. Okay.
Are we good? We're all good.
What are we doing?
I noticed we've dispensed with the cleaning interval. Okay. 1, 2, 3.
All right, we're moving back to
We're going
page one.
page 1.
Yeah, back to page 1, case 21-057, 114 Segovia Avenue. Lazaro Cordero and Lydia Del Carmen Cordero.
We would like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 3, affidavit of compliance.
Is there a finding of fact here, or is
No, we're
this a
asking for an
fine?
order assessing no fine.
An order of no fine is granted.
Thank you.
Next is 21-245, 1454 Ryan Lane, Verinia A. Calvo and Orlando L. Capaz.
We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, permit information.
Okay. I'm just confused here now. The name does not match the name on the agenda. Who's right?
Okay, it's
Or is my packet wrong? I mean, I've got the 12 or the 1454 Ryan Lane address. But it shows Francisco Renier and Karen Hidalgo. Here it has Verena Calvo and Orlando Capaz. So, who's my real peeps?
okay. 1 moment, please.
Details.
Oh, yeah, he's saying
Yes, just tell me the agenda's wrong and this is the right case.
who is the people supposed to be?
Okay.
So the names on the agenda are wrong? Oh, well, you can tell me. Go ahead.
Well, we put that name on there, and we used the warranty to show that it was this Francisco Rainier Karen Hidalgo. And then when they got added to this agenda, we just cut and paste from the last agenda, so it has the wrong name on it.
Good, that's all. I didn't
Sorry
really need
about
the
that.
explanation,
this
but
was done
it's
to
the
them.
real Rainier Hidalgo people.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So see, we just fixed the agenda.
It's,
Francisco Rainier and somebody Hidalgo.
yeah, it's
Karen.
and
Karen
Karen
Hidalgo.
Hidalgo.
Good. At least I had a reason for my confusion. All right, then we get back to it. They have a F. Rainier signing the green card, so you do have service. And
This has been out of compliance for 13 days. We're asking for $325 and continuing.
325 plus continuing is granted.
Next case is 21-388, 1398 Dornbank Lane, U.S. Bank N.A. trustee. Excuse me, U.S. Bank Trust N.A. trustee. And this one in code section 9-4-2 is a continue to comply.
Exhibit 1, order finding violation. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
Okay. See the driveway still stained and driveway still stained and everything else still a problem?
Yes.
Good. All right. So you have a signed green card from the bank. You have service. What would you like?
This again has been out for 13 days, so we're asking for a fine of $325 and continuing.
325 plus continuing is granted.
Top of page 2, 21-447 is being pulled.
Pulled.
21-0546 is being pulled.
Pulled.
21-0332 is being pulled.
I haven't been to the movies in forever.
Bottom of the page, 21-504, 10186 Patience Lane, Mohammed.
Code Section 124C, 06190A1, 3, and 5, garbage can in public view, driveway and sidewalk are stained. I observed this on 7/22/21. The notice of violation was mailed out 7/26/21 and was signed for on 8/2/21. The notice of hearing was mailed out 8/17/21 and was signed for on 8/24/21. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, pictures.
All right. So it looks like the driveway was clean.
Yes, the code 6190A135, which is
Sidewalk and driveway.
the driveway and sidewalk, is a finding of fact. So you have a bifurcated order.
Oh.
And again, just for the record, we're at violation hearings again.
All right. So we have a finding of fact on 6190. All right.
Yes.
And they left the easy thing laying there in the yard.
Right. So for 124C, we're asking for compliance by 10/28 or the 11/10 fine assessment hearing or $25 day fine.
Is there anyone there you talked to? This is almost they could fix this in an instant if they knew. They did the hard part. I hate it when
I
they
know. Yeah, I talked to him this morning, actually. He rents the home. He's in New York. So I spoke to him this morning, so he was going to call them.
Good. Because this is, yeah, you do the hard part, which is hiring someone with pressure cleaner and
Right.
getting the cars out of the way and cleaning it all up. And then you leave the garbage can, which should just be behind the fence
Right.
out front, which is silly. So
Yeah.
thank you for calling. The order is granted at 10/28, 11/10/25. With a
Thank you.
finding of fact on the driveway stuff. Okay.
Thank you. Next is 21-505, 10090 Patience Lane, Francisco Rodriguez Jr.
Code Section 622108.4, work done without a permit, garage closed in. I observed this on 6/23/21. The notice of violation was mailed out 6/24/21 and was returned on 6/30/21. The notice of hearing was mailed out 7/26/21 and was signed for on 7/28/21. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, pictures.
All right, so you have COVID green cards, which are good. What is my violation? So we have a picture of 6/7. Does that show? What does that show?
It's the insulation inside the garage there.
All right, so
It
there's
just-
insulation inside of the actual garage. So they left a little garage space, and then they insulated another room out of it.
Right.
Gotcha. Good. Okay, now it makes sense to me. I was like, isn't there something in there still? Oh, it's the wall. And something else. All right, granted. You have
Compliance by 10/28 or 11/10 or $25 day fine.
10/28, 11/10, 25 is granted.
Next is 21-520, that's being pulled. 21-566 is being pulled. 21-578, 11447 Blue Violet Lane, Denise L. Rock.
Code Section 2657, place structure installed without a permit. I observed this on 7/15/21. The notice of violation was mailed out 7/16/21 and was signed for on 7/20/21. The notice of hearing was mailed out 8/7/21 and was signed for on 8/12/21. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 4, pictures.
Where is Blue Violet Lane?
If you see, if you, in the one picture up from 9/7, if you see the blue, it was very difficult. I don't know if the trees grew over or if they moved it back some, but the picture prior to that, you can see it better.
Okay.
It's in Nautica Lake.
Yes.
Nautica Lake.
Off of Lansing Lane.
So it's behind the aquatic park thing?
Well, no, it's over,
Oh,
but it's in that area.
that
yes.
area. Good,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay. I was like, I've never done a blue violet case.
It's right there at the roundabout where you go,
Yeah.
like if you're going to the park or
Gotcha.
Seminole Lake, you would just hang a right.
All right, so you drew a circle around the picture on the 7th. It's difficult to see, but there's the 8th, and it's all play structure. All right.
Again,
What do
we're
you wanna
asking
do
for
with them? You have
compliance by
service.
1028 or 1110 or $25 a day fine.
Granted.
Thank you.
21-581, 1491 Thornridge Lane, IH6 property, Florida LP.
Code section 14.2 miscellaneous items. I observed this on 7/15/21. The notice of violation was mailed out 7/16/21 and was signed for on 7/19/21. The notice of hearing was mailed out 8/7/21 and was signed for on 8/13/21. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. Exhibit 4, pictures.
They need a better fence. You have service. What would you like?
This is a finding of fact.
Finding of fact is granted.
Thank you.
21-610 is being pulled. 21-619-10304 Oliver Lane, William F. Brownell. And just for your agenda and for the record, code section 9-4 was inadvertently omitted from the agenda. It's gate/fence and disrepair.
9-4.
Yes, sir.
Code section is 06-190, Prinz A, Prinz 1, Prinz 3, Prinz 4, Prinz H, and 9-4. The awning, sidewalk, and driveway are stained. Storm shutters are closed. Gate and fence are in disrepair. I observed this on 7/22/21. The notice of violation was mailed out 7/26/21 and signed for on 7/29/21. The notice of hearing was mailed out 8/17/21 and was signed for on 8/20/21. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, notice of hearing. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 4, pictures.
It got sold. I'm just looking at the names, on the affidavit about where the ownership information.
Mhm.
So this is under the old owner's name, I assume, because there was a alleged sale on August of 2021 to Bright Light Homes LLC.
Okay, thank you.
So what do I do with that? Just,
We'll pull it from the agenda.
oh, okay. So I noticed something right? I mean, okay. See, Hunter, I do look at this stuff.
Top of page 4, 21-0472 is being pulled.
Okay.
21-480. You got one?
Hot Pie Real Estate
Yeah,
Investments. I know where this is.
21-480, 11452. Okeechobee Boulevard, Hot Buy Real Estate Investments, LLC. Huh?
This used to be Cappuccino's before it was Francesca's, before it was Hot Pie. I think I was a Francesca's customer. So, yeah, Cappuccino's wasn't bad either. You had a decent fish dish. I remember him coming in for something.
Okay, the code section is 2349A, 6, B1, 11, 6190A1, 6195, 2021, and 275. The description is dumpster enclosure, storage areas, building and roof stain. Landscape is missing. Red bus is parked on the property. It was on the side, now it's in the parking lot. It's not on the site plan, so it's not approved to park there, basically.
Yeah,
Signs without a permit. This violation was mailed on 4/22/2021. It was signed for. Notice of hearing was mailed in June. I got it returned. It was remailed again for August, returned unclaimed and posted. I would like to enter the following documents into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation. Exhibit 2, notice of hearing and affidavit of service. Exhibit 3, verification of ownership. And Exhibit 4, pictures.
Okay. You have service via signed green card, among other things. Yeah, I noticed the red bus is parked sideways in like a half a dozen parking spaces. And
Mhm.
I'm wondering who in Florida wants to go on a double-decker bus in the summer. It's freaking hot and it's raining.
He was going to make that part of his business.
Yeah. Well, he better do a site plan modification if he wants to park it there. So what
He
would you
won't
like?
be able to park that there, and I've told him that he needs to have it removed.
Oh yeah. There's probably not enough parking there to do anything with based upon the size of his building anyway.
Right. And he's just
So what are we doing with him?
keeps
What's the
moving it
dates?
around. PBSO has cited it, all kinds of stuff.
Well, he needs to go store it in the village parking
No, it
No,
village
can't be
area
parked
in,
there.
in Costco.
Only
No.
boats and RVs can be there.
Okay.
We're asking for compliance by 9/23 or the 10/13 fine assessment hearing or $75 day fine.
All right. Granted. Put that order at the top of the stack then.
And the final case on page 4 is the health safety 21-673-106 Hemingway Court, McCormick Residential Trust, and Malou Benoit trustee.
They just don't want to hire anyone to cut the grass, do they?
That's pretty high.
Okay. So
Okay,
tell me
codes.
about this one.
Code section 1557, grass and weeds exceeds height allowed. I observed this on 8/13/21. The notice of violation and notice of hearing were mailed out together on 8/17/21 and were posted. We'd like to enter the following into evidence. Exhibit 1, notice of violation, notice of hearing, and affidavit of service. Exhibit 2, verification of ownership. Exhibit 3, pictures.
All right. Let me look at the pics.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. You have
So,
Yeah. Want to look at the pictures. Check out the grass. We had one of these like this on Ponce de Leon. Someone took care of it. I'm sure someone helped motivate it.
and this one we're asking for a one-time abatement. I think Hunter has the order for you to sign.
Just $286 to mow the yard.
Exactly, $80 for the mowing, $206 in administrative costs, and then appearance at the 10/13 fine assessment hearing for cost
You
recovery.
would think that they would, I don't know, hire someone, but I guess that's beyond their abilities. All right, granted and signed. Is there anything further to be done in front of the code board? I see you left me with a nice, easy meeting before we transition to nights.
Did you sign the minutes? Do you
No,
have minutes for August 11th?
I'm about to. Please let the record reflect I signed the minutes for the August hearings. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We are adjourned.